What's up, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, and the overall markets. I'm going to break down some key levels to watch for what President Trump just said that's causing more volatility in the markets. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. Moomoo is an amazing global brokerage account that consists of many exclusive offers. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $2,000, you're guaranteed 25 in total. If you deposit $5,000, you're guaranteed 60 in total. Just don't forget to keep the money in the account for at least 60 days. You'll also get an 8.1% APY on uninvested cash, and the offer ends on June 3rd. On top of this, the reason why I promote this is because you'll also qualify for free level 2 data if you keep at least $100 in the account. This is very useful for trading and understanding what's happening with market insights, to understand what's going on with the overall options chain and such. And this can be very useful for trading and investing for you guys out there. So anyways, now let's talk about what's happening with the markets. So as far as the market's going, I just want to mention that right now we're seeing a bit of a sell-off as we're losing some key supports, and we're seeing more sellers continuing to step in. So the question is, what's happening so far? What did President Trump just say and what's going on? As a reminder, we're seeing the Commerce Ministry of China coming out, and they're essentially saying that, like, if the US is making deals with other countries and it's not in China's best interest, they're going to be taking action, and they may be retaliating with more tariffs or such. That's causing lots of fear for the markets, at least so far, the fears of the trade war to continue with China. On top of this, President Trump is warning of an economic slowdown if we see Jerome Powell and the Fed keep rates the same. If they don't lower interest rates, that's what President Trump is basically wanting to see us do. And I'm not just going to say that this is what he's saying. I'm going to read his actual Truth Social post. Now, keep in mind, guys, that I'm not really in favor of any political party. I'm not in favor or against President Trump. I just want to be unbiased when I do this. The reason why I'm always talking about President Trump on this channel is because he is causing so much volatility, right? For example, when he announced that, he was going to pause the tariffs, SPY went from 486 all the way up to about 550, basically. So it jumped like almost 55 plus points. And then another time it started to dip and sell off with other things that he said. My point is, President Trump causes so much volatility. That's why I do talk so much about him. That's why I want to be very unbiased. So he's going to say very, very political things in this post. I might read them, but I just want to say that I'm not here to really support or be against. I'm just trying to be unbiased when I do this. So President Trump said that preemptive cuts in interest rates are being called for by many, with energy costs way down, food prices substantially lower, and most other things trending down. There's virtually no inflation, with these costs trending so nicely downward, just what I predicted they would do. There can be almost no inflation so far. There can also be a slowing of the US economy unless Mr. Too Late, a major loser, lowers interest rates now. Europe has already lowered 7 times. Powell has always been too late, except when it comes to the election period when he did that to help Joe Biden. So, President Trump is saying that, right? Whether you agree or not, I completely understand that. But the main point is that, number one, he's calling Jerome Powell Mr. Too Late. He's calling him a major loser. And then he also is saying that there's going to be a slowing of the economy if they don't lower interest rates. So he's warning that there's going to be a slowing in our economy. He's warning of lots and lots of fears that could be coming because of this, and he's blaming everything on Jerome Powell, at least so far. So obviously, President Trump is against Jerome Powell, doesn't like him, and he is threatening to fire him. So that it's not the best of news so far for the markets. This is leading to lots of uncertainty and fears. So that news is causing downside alongside the Chinese news. So keep all of that in mind. So that being said, there's a lot of fear in the markets. We're continuing to just break low after low after low. There's no sign of a bounce quite yet. We need to see SPY get back above at least this 520 area to see some kind of rebound to fill the gap. If we can't do that, we're going to be at risk of dipping all the way down towards like 510 essentially, way down here. 509 to 510. If that fails us, then we could be dipping all the way down towards basically 500 or below. So for now, we're looking quite bearish. I do think we're going to be dipping towards these lows, unless SPY closes back above like 518 to get a bounce. There's basically no sign of that bounce yet, and we're looking quite bearish. To be very blunt with you guys, we're looking bearish, we're looking weak. No sign of a bounce yet, so I want to be very, very straightforward with you guys. We're still looking bearish, and 510 is looking like a stronger possibility for SPY. For others out there, we also happen to have the QQQ looking relatively weak because we're just continuing to fall with no sign of a bounce quite yet. Now, for the triple Q, you want to see it get back above at least the 440 area to rebound. If we can't do that, we're looking at support at 432. If that fails us, we could be dipping down towards 425-ish, followed by this imbalance flow around 418. So keep those levels in mind. For the IWM, we're also making lower highs. As you guys can tell, we need to get back above 188 to bounce. If we can't reclaim at least 185 to 188, we're going to be at risk of dipping to not only 182 flats, but all the way down to 180. So keep that in mind as we look bearish. ES is approaching support at 5150. If that fails us, we could be dipping back down to 5100. So we're still looking bearish unless we get back above 5300. So we're still looking weak. For NQ, we're making lower highs here. If we end up reclaiming 18,400, we're going to continue to fall back down towards 17,500 as we're looking a bit more bearish. For Bitcoin, we have an inverse head and shoulders like structure. We're looking for 88,000 as resistance. It's doing a good job. It's outperforming the market. So we'll see if 88,000 breaks. It's going to be a tough resistance, but if it does break, I think 90,000 is next. Overall, Bitcoin is showing resilience. Looking at Tesla, lots of bad news. Number one, we got a price downgrade from different analysts. We have Dan Ives saying that the company is in code red mode unless Elon Musk steps down. There's news about a big class action lawsuit against them in California about their odometer readings not being accurate. And there's even news about how one of their models is delayed because of different factors out there. So lots of bad news for Tesla. We need to try to get back above 230. If not, we're continuing to favor 222, then 215 as our targets. We look quite weak right now, but keep in mind earnings will be a big factor for them, so we'll have to see how that goes. Nvidia looks weak unless we reclaim 100 to bounce. And if we can't do that, we're favoring 93.5 or below as our potential targets. Apple needs to get back above 198 to bounce. If not, I'm looking for 190 then eventually back down to about 185, so keep that in mind. For Coinbase, we're essentially looking at 172, then 169 as our supports. If we get back above 180, we're looking for a bounce. If not, we're looking for basically 169. For Amazon, we're on a bit of a downtrend. We need to get back above 175. If not, we're going to be looking for a move back down towards 165. For Meta, we're making lower highs here. Unless we get back above 500, we're actually favoring a downside move towards like 475 or below. So it's looking weak right now. On Microsoft, we're just barely holding on to 360. If it doesn't hold, I'm looking for 355 as a target. Google is barely holding on to support. We're going to be at risk of 146 if we don't hold 148. So keep that in mind. I also want to add that the VIX is looking bullish. We have a gap to fill. If we get back above like 35, I think the VIX fills the gap for basically 37.5. And then I think we push for the 40s. That's a bearish signal for the markets as the VIX is showing life. On top of this, let me just add that the VIX is basically breaking out of this wedge. So this is looking bullish, which tends to be a bearish sign for the markets. So just keep that in mind. So as of right now, the market's looking bearish. And for now, the bears have a bigger edge. Now, things could change in the future depending on what happens with these trade deals. But as of right now, there's no sign of that yet. There's no sign of the markets, pricing in some kind of like new deals yet. And for the time being, the charts still look more bearish, so we're still favoring downside. With all this fear involving what China's announcing about potentially retaliating against, some potential deals to be made, and also because of President Trump, who is once again opposing Jerome Powell and threatening to fire him, which is not the best for the markets, at least for the short term in terms of how they're perceiving things just for now. So that's why the market's selling off out of fear of all of this for now. So keep that all in mind. Thank you all so much for listening, and peace out.